What's up, everyone? It is the Marklandian, and today I'm showing you how to properly mount and space out pit bike brakes on stock Razor wheels. First off, you're going to want to make sure your tire is centered inside the forks. So to do that, you may have to use some washers to space out these little spacers. I personally made some custom spacers to go in there. But like I said, you can use the stock spacers, add about 1 or 2 washers on each side, which these are M12 washers. So to start this out, what I am going to do is mount both levers up here on top. Front will go on the right side. Put our 2 bolts in, and it should be pretty easy to mount this on here. I'd recommend doing this before putting on the accessories like the key switch, 3-speed switch and such, but it's really not that bad. Alright, so now that I got these started, I'm going to go get a socket and ratchet and tighten those down. Alright, now those are tightened down. And now what you're going to do is replicate it on the left side with the rear brake lever. Now I already test fit the front here just to see. What you're going to do is put on the upgraded brake rotors compared to the stock ones. These are more like mountain bike thickness, but a lot of places sell thicker ones. Alright, so now on your caliper here, what you're going to want to make sure to do is, if you see this can move back and forth, this whole little bracket, and that's essentially to center the caliper on the disc, because this side doesn't move. So what it does is pulls this side this way while the pistons are compressing, and then it pulls this bracket this way. If you kind of get what I mean. So as this side's pushing, it's pulling this side over, and at the same time pushing the whole brake caliper this way. So what we're going to do is take our caliper. Basically what you want to do is put the line where you want it right now. I'm running it behind the forks using some zip ties to hold it. Now go right into here where your caliper is going. And should slide in place. May take a little finagling. There we go. So what you're gonna want to do, which I did beforehand, like I said, is if you see right here, there's a space between the bracket and the mount. So what you're going to want to do is find some longer bolts. These are M8 threads, and they're going to go right here. You don't want it directly against the brake disc. You want it slightly back. And then along with that, I have some spacers to use. If you upgrade the bearings in your stem, you can actually use these stock spacers for the stock bearings, and it's the perfect fit for right here. So now you just put that there. Spacer, I'd recommend using washers if you don't have the spacers. There we go. Now I'm going to do the bottom bolt. Straight in. Make sure these are tight. There we go. One issue I had was the valve stem here hitting the caliper. So make sure the valve stem is pointing the other way. I gotta switch it around on here. And then now we're gonna move to the back. On the back here, I have a temporary wheel on, but I will take it off to show you how to change the brake disc. Alright, so we have our upgraded, slightly bigger brake disc. These are the 160mm ones you can get off Amazon, which I guess they work, but the 180 is going to have slightly better heat dissipation. Alright. So, old brake disc off. A new one will be going back on. And on this brake disc, once I get it open, you'll see it has an orientation right here. So what you want to do is have this the same way the bike is rolling. And there we go. Clear the trash away. And now put in all your bolts. Alright. So there's that on. Now I'm going to go get the other peg for the rear axle and then slide it back on the same way it came off. Cool. Make sure that's cranked down tight. Right. So now let's move on to installing the rear caliper. I may have to add a washer or two inside here. I'm not sure. Yes, I am going to need to. So what I'm going to do is take this back off, add 2 washers in there, and I'll be back. Alright. And now, caliper slips on 0 issue. These bolts are definitely way too long, so give me just 1 second and I'll get my thing of bolts. Alright, so I have like a ton of M6 bolts for this exact reason. And if you didn't hear me just now, they are M6 bolts. So what I'm going to do is find one that's not going to hit the brake disc. What you can do is take a ruler and measure and get the correct distance bolt. So measure both the front and back at the same time. Alright. I personally use the rears a lot more because of like wheelies and stuff. So make sure these are really tight, because if you're doing a wheelie and one of these bolts disappears, you're not going to have a good time. Alright. Right down in here, I added 2 washers right down here, and that was perfect spacing. Then this goes directly onto the swing arm with no spacers between the bracket and the swing arm. And these came pre-bled, so as you can see, absolutely perfect. Like, share, subscribe. This was the Marklandian, and I'll see you on the next video.